Let's get right into it. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking some fascinating cognitive psychology. Specifically, we're looking at the surprising mechanics behind our emotional memories. We're going to dive into a 2009 study by cognitive psychologists Linda Levine, Heather Lench, and Martin Safer called Functions of Remembering and Misremembering Emotion. If you've ever implicitly trusted your own memory, well, you might want to rethink that because we're about to completely reframe how you view your own past.
Think about a highly emotional moment from your past for a second. It could be something amazing, like landing your dream job, or something really tough, like a bad breakup. You can probably feel an echo of that emotion right now, can't you? We have this tendency to assume our memory works like a perfect video camera. We think it just meticulously records our feelings and locks them away in a mental vault. You think, of course I know how I felt. I was literally there. But the science fundamentally challenges this widespread assumption. It actually poses a much more uncomfortable question. Are your recollections of those past emotions actually accurate, or is your brain doing something entirely different behind the scenes?
Section 1. The mechanics of memory. How our brains store past feelings.
So how do we actually store these emotional experiences? Well, the researchers identified that our emotions aren't just dumped into one giant bucket in our brain. They're actually represented in at least two distinct forms. First, there's explicit memory. This is deliberate. When you actively try to recall how nervous you felt before a huge presentation last year, you're using your explicit memory. It's flexible, and you can retrieve it across totally different situations just by actively thinking about it. But then, on the other hand, we have implicit memory, which operates completely differently. These are automatic. You don't deliberately pull them up. They're brought to mind by contextual cues. Imagine walking into a hospital and suddenly feeling this wave of anxiety wash over you before you've even consciously remembered a past surgery. That's an implicit memory of emotion. It's an automatic reflex triggered by your environment.
Section 2. The reality of memory bias. Why our emotional memories fade and distort.
Now, having these two sophisticated memory systems sounds great, doesn't it? But here is where the research uncovers a pretty massive complication. Both of these systems share a crucial vulnerability. They are highly susceptible to forgetting and bias over time. Your memory is not a pristine archive. As time passes, the emotional intensity you remember just isn't a perfect match for what you actually experienced. So what's causing this distortion? Levine, Lench, and Safer point to two primary factors altering your emotional memory. First, changing personal goals. Who you are and what you want right now actively reaches back and colors how you remember the past. Second, new appraisals of past emotional events. For example, think of a time you failed a major exam. In that exact moment, you probably felt sheer panic. But let's say you ended up passing the class anyway, and your goal of graduating is totally secure. Because you met that goal, you now appraise the failure as just a minor bump in the road. And because of that, you'll actually misremember the intensity of the initial panic. You'll look back and think, oh, I wasn't really that upset. Your current reality is literally rewriting your past emotional data. Our emotional recall is incredibly unstable.
Section 3. Why misremembering helps us. The surprising benefit of an imperfect memory.
We usually think of a biased or distorted memory as a flaw, right? Like a glitch in our mental hardware. But this is where the research introduces a brilliant paradigm shift. This fading and distorting of emotional memory, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Misremembering actually gives us a distinct advantage. Let's look at how the researchers define memory bias. They call it changes in representations of emotional experience that often promote goal-directed behavior and facilitate coping with challenging situations. Let that really sink in for a second. If we remembered the raw, acute pain of every single heartbreak, every rejection, or every physical injury with 100% accuracy forever, we'd be paralyzed. We literally couldn't function. By dampening those past negative emotions or shifting them to align with what we need today, this bias becomes a vital evolutionary tool. It facilitates coping. It's what allows us to survive the bad things, get out of bed in the morning, and just keep going.
Section 4. A tool for the future. Navigating life with biased memories.
Understanding this adaptive feature of memory is absolutely crucial for your own emotional resilience. Once you recognize that your brain is actively curating your past feelings, you can stop agonizing over why you can't remember things perfectly. Your brain is intentionally streamlining your emotional history so you can navigate your present more effectively. Ultimately, memory is not just an archive of the past. It's an adaptive tool to guide ongoing behavior and future plans. Your memory doesn't exist just to help you reminisce. It exists to help you survive and thrive tomorrow. The distorted, changing nature of our emotional memories actually serves the beautiful purpose of helping us move forward, unburdened by the crushing weight of everything we've ever felt.
And that brings us to a final thought I want to leave you with today. We've looked at the science, and we know the brain prioritizes coping and future planning over perfect historical accuracy. So I challenge you to ask yourself, if your memory is designed to help you cope rather than just record the past, how might your current goals be rewriting your history right now? What past feelings is your brain quietly editing today just to help you become who you want to be tomorrow? It's definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.